The crew of the Celestial Endeavor stood at the edge of the unknown, their breath caught in anticipation as the ship's engines hummed softly, ready for launch. Captain Mara Kline stood before the command deck's large viewport, the swirling expanse of space stretching before her like an endless canvas. "We are entering uncharted space, people," she said, her voice calm but firm. "No one's mapped these coordinates. It's on us to explore, to uncover what lies beyond." Lieutenant Jace Donovan glanced at the digital readouts, his fingers flying across his console. "Uncharted territory, Captain. Unknown risks." The soft light of the distant stars flickered off his face as he spoke, adding weight to his words. Mara turned to him, her expression resolute. "Every mission has its risks, Jace, but it's what we're trained for. We don't turn back." Her gaze shifted to the rest of the crew, standing silently behind her. "Prepare for launch," she said with finality, and the hum of the engines grew louder. The stars seemed to beckon them forward into the vast cosmic unknown. The Celestial Endeavor surged forward, leaving behind the known galaxy. As the ship entered the nebula core, the once familiar stars disappeared into the fog of colors and gaseous clouds, replaced by shimmering lights and strange, unpredictable energy readings. "This is unlike anything we've ever encountered," Lieutenant Donovan said, eyes fixed on the fluctuating data on his screen. Captain Mara Kline stood at the front of the command deck, watching the nebula swirl outside the viewport. "This is what we signed up for," she replied, voice steady but filled with awe. "We are here to push the boundaries of what's known, to explore what's out there." Riya Patel, the science officer, turned to them from the station at the rear of the deck. "The readings are erratic. I can't pinpoint the source of the energy here. It's almost as if..." She paused, glancing at her console again. "It's like the nebula itself is alive, shifting with the ship's movements." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but Mara remained unshaken. "We keep moving forward. We're just getting started." As the ship ventured deeper into the nebula core, the crew's tension began to rise. The glowing nebulae around them distorted into strange shapes, casting eerie shadows across the command deck. The hum of the engines intensified, filling the air with a constant vibration. "The energy here is unlike anything I've ever studied," Riya Patel said, her voice tinged with awe and unease. She leaned closer to her console, fingers flying over the keys as she tried to make sense of the data. "There's a pattern, but it's shifting so rapidly I can't track it. This nebula isn't just a mass of gas. There's something more. Is it dangerous?" Captain Mara Kline asked, her tone calm but laced with concern. Riya hesitated before answering. "It's too early to tell, but it's definitely not natural." A sharp beep from Jace Donovan's console cut through the air. "Captain," he said, "we've detected a strange object ahead. It's stationary, but it's emitting a steady energy signature." Mara looked up, her brow furrowed. On screen, the viewport shifted, revealing a massive dark structure looming within the nebula, its surface smooth but covered in pulsating lights. The crew watched in stunned silence as the dark object loomed closer on the viewport, its surface pulsating with an unsettling rhythm. It seemed ancient, its smooth exterior broken only by faintly glowing lines that ran across it like veins. "What is that?" Lieutenant Donovan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've never seen anything like it in any database." Riya Patel stepped closer to the screen, her face filled with both fascination and unease. "It's not a natural formation," she said. "It looks artificial." Captain Kline stood still, her gaze unwavering. "If it's artificial, then who made it? And why is it here, in the middle of the nebula?" "There's only one way to find out," she added, her voice firm as always. She turned to the crew. "Jace, get us closer, but keep all shields up and weapons ready. We don't know what we're dealing with." As Jace quickly adjusted the ship's course, the eerie silence of space felt more oppressive than ever. The Celestial Endeavor drew nearer to the mysterious object, the ship's hum now a deep, vibrating pulse that seemed to sync with the glowing lines of the structure. The ship's proximity alarms began to chime as the Celestial Endeavor closed in on the dark structure. The crew's focus sharpened, their eyes fixed on the object ahead. "We're almost within range," Jace Donovan reported. "Should I activate the cloaking system?" Captain Mara Kline stood motionless, her hands resting on the console as she studied the structure through the viewport. "No, we need to approach this carefully. Let's see if it reacts to us first." The structure's glowing lines seemed to intensify, pulsing with energy as the ship neared. Suddenly, a low hum reverberated through the ship. "What is that sound?" Riya asked, her voice tense. The lights in the command deck flickered as the hum grew louder. "It's coming from the object," Jace confirmed. "Something's reacting to our presence." Captain Kline's grip on the console tightened. "Stay sharp, everyone. Prepare for anything." Just as she spoke, a massive energy pulse shot out from the object, striking the celestial endeavor with a force that sent the ship lurching. The crew stumbled, gripping their stations as alarms blared. "Shields holding," Jace called out. "But we've been hit." Mara steadied herself, her voice resolute. "Return fire, but don't damage the structure. We need answers." The celestial endeavor shuddered violently as the energy pulse from the mysterious object continued to ripple through the ship. Crew members scrambled to stabilize their positions, the hum of the ship's engines reverberating in the tense silence. Captain Mara Kline gripped the edge of her console as the ship groaned under the strain. "Damage report," she barked. "Hull integrity holding at 80%, but we're seeing power fluctuations across multiple systems," Jace Donovan replied, his fingers flying across the controls. "Shields are down to 60%. We're not going to last long if that thing keeps firing." Riya Patel turned to the captain, her face pale. "The object, it's not just reacting to us, it's communicating. The energy patterns are consistent with some sort of signal." Mara's gaze hardened. "Then let's try to communicate back. We need to figure out what it wants, and fast." She turned to the comms officer. "Send a low-frequency pulse. See if it responds." As the crew worked quickly, the strange object outside seemed to pulse again, as if waiting for their next move. The low-frequency pulse sent from the celestial endeavor rippled through space, vibrating the very air within the command deck. The crew watched the screen with bated breath, waiting for any sign of response. For a few long moments, there was nothing but silence, punctuated by the steady hum of the ship's remaining systems. Suddenly, the mysterious structure outside began to shift, its glowing lines intensifying. The object emitted a low, deep sound, almost like a growl, and then, without warning, a series of shapes appeared on the holographic display. They were geometrical and complex, resembling ancient alien symbols. "It's answering us," Riya Patel said, her voice a mixture of wonder and apprehension. "The signal, it's repeating. This is a communication system. What's it saying?" Mara asked, her voice steady despite the mounting tension. Riya's eyes widened. "I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's not hostile. It's waiting." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of how to interpret the alien communication. The nebula around them began to glow brighter, the colors shifting to a deeper shade of violet, as if the very space around them was alive. Captain Mara Kline stood at the center of the command deck, eyes focused on the alien symbols that had appeared on the screen. She could feel the weight of the decision pressing on her. "We've made contact," she said quietly, almost to herself. "But what does that mean for us?" Lieutenant Donovan leaned in, studying the symbols closely. "It could be a warning, or an invitation. We won't know unless we push further." Riya Patel, still at her console, quickly ran a series of scans on the energy readings. "The object is stable for now, but I've detected a fluctuation in its energy field. If we don't act soon, it may become unpredictable. And if we act too soon?" Jace asked, glancing at her. "We could trigger something far worse," Riya replied, her tone serious. "I recommend we try one more pulse at a higher frequency and see if it reacts." "Agreed," Mara said, taking a deep breath. She turned toward the comms officer. "Send the pulse, but be ready to cut it off immediately if the energy levels spike." The crew held their breath as the ship sent out the signal, awaiting the alien response. The higher frequency pulse was sent, and for a moment, there was nothing. Then the entire ship shook violently as an energy surge erupted from the mysterious object, sending a shockwave through the celestial endeavor. "Shields are failing," Jace Donovan yelled, gripping his station as the lights flickered. "We've lost power to several systems." The crew struggled to regain control as the ship lurched again, this time toward the object. "We're being pulled in," Riya shouted. "Hey! The gravitational field is destabilizing." Captain Mara Kline's eyes flicked to the viewport, where the object loomed closer, its glowing lines now pulsating rapidly, almost erratically. "Cut the pulse," she ordered. "Now!" The comms officer scrambled to sever the connection, but the ship continued to drift, unable to break free from the object's pull. "We can't disengage," Jace shouted, his voice strained. "It's too strong. We need to stop it." The object's energy field surged again, and the celestial endeavor lurched forward, heading straight for the center of the alien structure. The celestial endeavor was now so close to the alien object that the crew could see its surface up close through the viewport. It was smooth, metallic, and covered with hundreds of glowing lines, each one pulsing in a rhythm that seemed almost deliberate. "Brace for impact," Mara shouted as the ship neared the surface. "Shields up, full power to aft thrusters." The crew scrambled to respond, but the power fluctuations made it difficult to gain control. "We're not going to make it," Jace yelled as the object loomed larger. Just as it seemed the ship would crash into the structure, the energy field around the object flared brighter than ever. The ship's shields flickered, then sparked to life, sending a shockwave through the command deck. There was a brief, tense silence, and then the ship's forward momentum stopped, dead in its tracks. The object's energy field had released its grip, and the celestial endeavor floated suspended in space, just inches from its surface. "What just happened?" Lieutenant Donovan asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Riya Patel's eyes widened as she studied her console. It's communicating again. This time, the signal is stronger than before." The celestial endeavor hung motionless in space, just inches from the alien object. Its energy field, now dimmed, created an eerie silence throughout the ship. The crew sat in stunned silence, unsure of what had just transpired. Captain Mara Kline stood in front of the viewport, her hands clenched into fists as she surveyed the glowing lines of the object. "We've been stopped," she said, her voice a mixture of disbelief and calm resolve. "But why?" Riya Patel was the first to speak, her eyes glued to her console. "The energy readings are stable now, but they're still fluctuating. The object is somehow in sync with the ship." Lieutenant Donovan, standing by the tactical console, added, "I've never seen anything like it. The gravitational pull has ceased, but the object is still sending out pulses, and they seem deliberate." "What does it want?" Jace asked. "What's its purpose?" Riya's face grew more tense as she worked through the data. "I don't know yet, but whatever it is, it's not just passive observation. It's trying to communicate in ways we don't understand." Mara's expression hardened. "Then let's find a way to understand it." A sudden beep from Riya's console broke the silence. "Captain, I think I've got something," she said, her fingers rapidly typing in commands. The holographic interface flared to life, displaying complex patterns of energy readings, each one more erratic than the last. "These patterns, they're repeating. It's like a code," Riya continued. "I think we're being sent a sequence, but it's not in any known language or format." Captain Kline approached the console, her eyes narrowing as she studied the display. "Can we decipher it?" "It's not easy," Riya admitted, "but I'm starting to see some structure. There's a rhythm to it. It's almost like a series of signals meant to evoke certain responses." Mara nodded slowly. "Then we'll have to respond in kind." She turned to Lieutenant Donovan. "Prepare a signal, something that could potentially communicate back to it. Keep it simple, a basic frequency. We can take any chances with something this alien." "Aye, Captain," Donovan replied, working quickly. As the crew prepared to send their response, the object outside pulsed once again, its energy seeming to intensify as if awaiting the next move. The signal was sent, a low-frequency wave designed to mimic the rhythms they had observed from the alien object. The crew held their breath as the ship's communication system emitted the pulse. For a few moments, Nothing happened. Then the alien object responded with a deep, resonant hum that shook the ship's walls. Riya's console flickered, displaying a new pattern. "It's responding," she exclaimed, her voice a mixture of excitement and awe. "The pattern's matching. It's a direct reply." Captain Kline stepped closer to the console, studying the patterns. "What's it saying?" she asked. Riya's fingers flew over the keys as she tried to decode the new signal. "It's almost like it's telling us where to go," Riya said slowly. "But the coordinates are unlike anything I've ever seen. They're not on any map." Mara's eyes narrowed as she read the data. "Is it leading us somewhere?" "It seems that way," Riya replied. "But I can't guarantee safety. The signal might be a trap." Jace Donovan, who had been monitoring the ship's surroundings, added, "We can't know for sure, but the path it's suggesting leads to the center of the nebula. Then that's where we're going," Mara decided firmly. "We've come this far, and we're not turning back now." The decision was made. The celestial endeavor altered its course, heading toward the coordinates provided by the alien signal. The crew watched the holographic star maps as they navigated the uncharted space, the nebula growing darker and more ominous around them. "We're entering the heart of the nebula," Riya announced. "The energy here is much stronger, but it's also much more unpredictable. Keep the shields at full power," Captain Mara Kline ordered. "We don't know what we'll encounter." As the ship ventured deeper, the once calming glow of the nebula turned to deep shades of purple and black. Strange gravitational anomalies rippled through space, and the ship's engines hummed louder, fighting to maintain their course. Jace Donovan kept his eyes on the tactical screen. "I'm picking up fluctuations in the gravitational field. If we don't stay on course, we could drift into an unstable zone." "We stay on course," Mara replied firmly. "This mission's about discovery, and we won't be deterred by a little turbulence." The crew braced themselves as the ship moved deeper into the unknown, each heartbeat matching the pulsing energy around them. The celestial endeavor entered the heart of the nebula, and the gravitational anomalies intensified. The ship shuddered as it passed through an area where the space around them seemed to warp and twist. "Captain!" Jace Donovan shouted, his voice urgent. "We've hit a spatial distortion. We're losing control." The ship lurched as the gravitational forces pulled at its hull. "Shields are holding for now," Riya reported quickly, but her tone was strained. "But we need to get out of this zone before the stress on the ship becomes critical." "Do we have a way out?" Mara asked, gripping the console as the ship tilted and bucked under the forces of the anomaly. "I'm not sure," Riya replied, her voice tense. "But there's a gravitational channel up ahead. If we can enter it, we might be able to stabilize." "Then that's our course," Mara said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Jace, get us to that channel, full power." As the crew braced for the next maneuver, the ship veered toward the gravitational channel, hoping it would provide the stability they desperately needed. The celestial endeavor surged forward, entering the gravitational channel with a violent lurch that rattled the entire ship. The hum of the engines reached a deafening pitch as the ship stabilized within the strange passage. "We've made it," Jace Donovan said, his voice a mixture of relief and disbelief. "We're out of the distortion, but we're in uncharted space." Captain Mara Kline looked at the star map, her eyes narrowing. "Where are we? What's around us?" "Nothing," Riya Patel replied. "Just empty space. The energy signatures are..." She paused, her fingers flying across the console. "Wait. I'm picking up something faint. It's coming from the center of the channel." Mara stood, moving toward Riya's console. "Could it be another signal from the object?" "I don't think so," Riya said, shaking her head. "This is different. It's too structured, too regular. Whatever it is, it's intentional." Mara's eyes flicked to the viewport, where nothing but swirling nebulae and dark space filled the view. "Keep tracking it. Whatever it is, we're going to find out." The faint signal grew stronger, its rhythmic pulses sending a cascade of data across Riya's console. "I'm analyzing the pattern," Riya said, her eyes narrowing in concentration. "It's definitely artificial, an encoded message of some kind. Can you decipher it?" Captain Mara Kline asked, stepping closer. "It's complex," Riya replied. but I think I can get a translation. It's in layers, almost like there are multiple meanings within each pulse. Lieutenant Donovan leaned over her shoulder, looking at the data. Can we interpret it now? We need to know who's sending it and why. I'm almost there, Riya muttered, her fingers flying over the console. But we need to be careful. This message might not be meant for us. It could be a warning. A low hum filled the deck, and the lights flickered. There, Riya said, tapping a final sequence. I've got something. The ship's systems hummed louder, the energy reading suddenly spiking. It's a location, Riya said. Coordinates. And they lead straight to the center of the nebula. The celestial endeavor altered course, following the coordinates sent by the mysterious signal. The ship's engines hummed softly as they moved deeper into the nebula, the colors outside shifting from deep violet to blood-red hues. We're entering the core, Riya said, her voice tight. The energy levels are off the charts. The ship can't maintain this course for long. Captain Mara Kline clenched her jaw. How long can we last? Maybe an hour if we're lucky, Riya replied. But it's not the energy levels that concern me, it's the unknown. The ship's hull creaked under the strain, and the eerie silence of space pressed in around them. The viewport showed a swirling maelstrom of energy, as the nebula's heart seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Brace yourselves, Mara said, her voice calm. Whatever we find, we face it together. The crew nodded, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. As they neared the center, a strange feeling seemed to fill the air. They were not just exploring, they were being drawn into something far larger than themselves. The ship slowed as they reached the coordinates, and the chaotic energy field around them began to subside. Ahead, a massive structure emerged from the swirling clouds. An ancient, colossal station, its dark silhouette towering over the surrounding nebula. What is that? Jace Donovan asked, his voice barely a whisper. That's no natural formation, Riya said, her voice awestruck. It's a station, but it's enormous. The structure was built from what appeared to be a mixture of organic and metallic materials, its surface covered in symbols and intricate designs that seemed to shift as they watched. I don't think it's abandoned, Mara said quietly, her gaze fixed on the station. It looks active. Should we attempt to dock? Jace asked. Mara hesitated, her hand hovering over the control panel. We don't know what's inside, but if we're ever going to understand the message, we need to get closer. Prepare for docking, Mara ordered. The crew quickly got to work, securing the ship's systems and preparing for the unknown. The celestial endeavor moved toward the docking port of the ancient station. The docking sequence initiated, and the ship moved in slowly, carefully aligning with the ancient station's docking port. As they approached, the eerie silence of the nebula seemed to deepen, and the ship's systems hummed steadily. We're locked in, Jace Donovan announced. Docking complete. Captain Mara Kline stood, her gaze fixed on the viewport as she stared at the dark station. Everyone stay alert, she said, her voice firm. We don't know what we'll find inside, but we need answers. Riya, Jace, you're with me. The three of them moved toward the airlock, ready to face whatever lay beyond. The sound of the airlock opening echoed through the ship, followed by the soft hiss of atmosphere as the doors slid open. They stepped into the station, the cold metallic floor beneath their feet, the shadows stretching before them. The walls of the station were covered with strange markings and symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light. This place is alive, Riya whispered. It feels ancient, but also aware of us. Let's find out what it knows, Mara said, taking the lead as they ventured deeper into the station's heart. The air in the ancient station was thick with silence as Captain Mara Kline, Lieutenant Jace Donovan, and Riya Patel made their way deeper into the structure. The walls were etched with symbols that seemed to shift in the dim light, their meaning still a mystery. Each step they took echoed in the vast empty corridors. The crew's boots clattered against the cold metallic floor, reverberating off the walls. This place is older than anything we've ever encountered, Riya said, her voice tinged with awe. And it's unlike anything we've seen. It's alive, but mechanical, like it's waiting for us. Mara's expression hardened. We don't have time to speculate. Let's find the central chamber and see if we can access the station's core. The crew moved forward cautiously, following the faint hum of energy that seemed to pulse from the very walls themselves. As they rounded a corner, a large chamber opened up before them, the air growing colder, the atmosphere more oppressive. The central control hub, if it existed, had to be nearby. The central chamber was unlike anything they had seen. It was circular, with a massive domed ceiling that seemed to stretch on forever. The center of the room was dominated by a large spherical structure, its surface covered in glowing lines that pulsed rhythmically. Riya approached the structure, her fingers hovering just above the surface as she scanned it with her device. "It's not mechanical," she said, her voice filled with astonishment. "It's organic, alive in some way. It's communicating." Mara stepped forward, studying the structure with narrowed eyes. "How do we access it?" she asked, her voice calm but tense. Riya continued to examine the device, her brows furrowing in concentration. "I'm getting something, a pattern, but it's too complex. If I can match the frequency, I can connect to it, but it'll take time." Mara glanced at her crew, all of them feeling the weight of the situation. "We don't have time," she said firmly. "Get it done, now." Riya worked quickly, her fingers flying over her scanner as the pulsating energy from the sphere intensified. "I think I'm getting close," she said, her voice tight with concentration. It's like a neural network. The patterns are evolving. I can feel it responding to me." Captain Kline stepped closer, her gaze fixed on the sphere. "Is it trying to communicate?" "Yes," Riya replied. "But it's not like anything we've encountered. It's almost as if it's reading our thoughts, adapting to our responses." The sphere's glow brightened suddenly, the lines on its surface shifting rapidly. Riya's device began to beep urgently. "It's trying to synchronize with us," she said, eyes wide. "We need to make contact before it overwhelms us." Mara nodded sharply. "Do it now, Riya. Whatever this is, we have to unlock it before it goes too far." The room hummed with a deep, resonating sound as Riya initiated the final sequence. A sudden sharp tone echoed through the room as the sphere responded. The light intensified, nearly blinding them. Riya staggered back, shielding her eyes as the ship's systems began to tremble. "It's destabilizing!" she shouted. "I can't hold the connection. The energy's going haywire." Captain Kline immediately turned to Jace. "What's happening outside?" "The station's energy field is expanding," Jace called out. "The whole nebula's reacting. If we don't get out now, we'll be caught in it." The crew looked around, panic rising as the space around them seemed to warp and distort. The room was now shaking violently. "Abort the connection, Riya," Mara ordered. But it was too late. The sphere's pulse increased exponentially, and the ship began to shake uncontrollably. "We're losing power," Donovan shouted. "Get us out of here." Mara grabbed the comms panel. "Engine room, engage emergency thrusters. Full power." The crew scrambled as the room continued to shake, the glowing sphere flickering violently in the center of the chamber. With a violent shudder, the celestial endeavor lurched as the emergency thrusters kicked in. The ship shot away from the station, narrowly escaping the expanding energy wave that followed them. The command deck was chaotic as lights flickered and alarms blared. "We're free," Jace said, his voice a mix of relief and disbelief. "But we're not out of the woods yet." Captain Kline exhaled deeply as she took a seat. "Status?" she asked, her voice weary. Riya checked her console, her brow furrowed. "The energy pulse is still growing. It's not dissipating. What about the station?" Mara asked, her eyes scanning the screens. "It's stabilizing," Riya said. "But the structure is changing. It's transforming, like it's preparing for something. And what does that mean for us?" Mara asked. Riya's expression was grim. "It means we've triggered something, Captain. Something big." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, knowing that the true test of their mission was only just beginning. The celestial endeavor drifted through the void, still rattling from the immense energy pulse they had narrowly escaped. The nebula stretched endlessly before them, now eerily quiet, as if the chaos they had just witnessed was a distant memory. Captain Mara Kline stood at the helm, her face grim as she surveyed the emptiness. "What happened back there?" Jace Donovan asked, his voice low. "It felt like we were on the edge of something far beyond our control." "I'm still trying to process it," Mara replied. "But the station. It wasn't just a relic. It was part of something much larger." Riya Patel, still seated at her console, glanced up. "I've been scanning the area. There's nothing left. The energy readings have normalized. But," she hesitated, "the Shin's signal has vanished. It's like it's gone completely dark. So it wasn't just the energy pulse that stopped us?" Donovan asked. "No, Mara," said her voice tense. "Whatever was inside that station has gone silent, and it's no coincidence. We've triggered something far more dangerous than we realized." As the ship continued its slow drift, the crew worked to stabilize the systems, but the tension was palpable. "Should we head back to the station?" Riya asked, glancing at Captain Kline. "Find out what we triggered?" Captain Kline shook her head. "No, we don't know what we're dealing with yet. If we go back, we might be walking into another trap." "Then what do we do?" Donovan asked. "We need answers," Mara replied. "But we're not equipped to deal with the unknown. I suggest we regroup, analyze everything we've learned, and chart a course out of the nebula." She paused, looking at the crew. "Whatever's happening here, it's far bigger than we expected." The silence that followed was thick with the weight of their situation. "All right," Riya said finally. "I'll prepare a detailed scan of the surrounding systems. We need a safe route out. Make it quick," Mara said. "We're in uncharted space, and we're vulnerable." Riya's console beeped, alerting her to an anomaly on the edge of the nebula. "Captain, I'm detecting a new energy signature," she said, her voice tense. "It's faint, but it's coming from a nearby star system. Can you track it?" Mara asked, stepping closer. "I can, but..." Riya hesitated, her fingers hovering over the console. "The signature is strange. It doesn't match anything in our database. It's definitely artificial, but it's unlike any technology we've encountered." Mara's eyes narrowed. "We're already in the unknown. What's one more mystery?" Riya nodded, then started adjusting the ship's trajectory. "Plotting a course now. It's going to take us close to that star system. Set course. Prepare the crew," Mara ordered. "If this is a trap, we need to be ready for anything." As the ship began to change course, the hum of the engines seemed to grow louder, the uncertainty of the journey ahead growing with each passing second. As the ship neared the star system, the crew braced themselves for whatever they might find. The star system itself appeared as a brilliant point of light in the distance, surrounded by swirling gas clouds and debris from old asteroid fields. "We're close," Riya said, her eyes focused on the approaching star. "I'm seeing the source of the signal. It's a station, but it's buried within the debris." Captain Kline stood up straighter, her voice firm. "Prepare for a scan. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the ship neared the debris field, Riya's scanner illuminated with data. The station's energy is fluctuating, but it's definitely active. Whatever's inside is still working despite the condition of the surrounding area. "Then let's find out who's still here," Mara replied, her gaze unwavering. "Send a reconnaissance team to the surface. Stay alert. This could be the source of everything we've been dealing with." Jace Donovan stood at the ready. "Ready when you are, Captain." The Celestial Endeavor finally docked with the unknown station, the crew preparing for the worst. As the airlock opened, Mara Kline led the way, her hand on her weapon, her mind sharp with the knowledge that they could be walking into another trap. "Stay close," she said, her voice calm but urgent. The crew stepped into the darkened station, the floor covered in dust, the air stale. The walls were lined with strange markings, similar to those they had seen before, but much older. "This place feels abandoned," Jace Donovan said, his voice echoing in the empty corridors. "But something's still here," Riya added. "The energy signatures are definitely coming from deep within the station." As they moved through the dark halls, the atmosphere grew heavier. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of the station's energy systems. "Keep your eyes peeled," Mara warned. "Whatever is here, we need to find it before it finds us." The crew moved cautiously through the ancient station, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Every corner seemed to hold secrets, every shadow a potential threat. The strange markings on the walls continued, their meaning still a mystery. "What are we looking for?" Jace Donovan asked, his voice cutting through the stillness. "Whatever the station was designed for, it's still active," Captain Mara Kline said, her gaze scanning the corridor ahead. "The energy systems are intact. If we can find the central hub, we might learn more about what it's doing here." Riya Patel, walking slightly ahead, stopped suddenly. "I'm detecting something unusual," she said, her fingers flying over her device. "The readings are fluctuating. This might be the heart of the station." They approached a large door, sealed tight. "This is it," Mara said. "Get ready, we don't know what's on the other side." With a nod from Mara, Jace stepped forward and pried open the door, revealing what lay beyond. As the door creaked open, the crew was met with a vast chamber, its size overwhelming. At the center stood an enormous glowing structure, pulsating with energy. "This is it," Mara said softly. "This is what the station was built for." The walls around them were covered in the same shifting symbols, but now they seemed to form a coherent pattern. "It's a control center," Riya said, her voice filled with awe. "This is the brain of the station. Everything we've seen, the energy pulses, the signals, they're all coming from here." Mara approached the glowing structure, her hand hovering just inches from it. "Do you think it can help us understand what happened back there?" "It might," Riya replied, her voice uncertain. "But we need to make sure it's safe to interact with." "We don't have time," Mara said, her tone decisive. "We need answers now." With that, she placed her hand on the structure, triggering a series of lights to flash. As Mara's hand made contact with the glowing structure, the entire room trembled. A low hum filled the air, and the symbols on the walls began to shift rapidly, rearranging into a new sequence. "What's happening?" Jace asked, his voice rising in alarm. "It's responding to us," Riya said, her eyes wide. "It's sending a signal, but it's different from the others. It's much more complex." The structure's glow intensified and a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. It was a star map, with countless points of light scattered across it, forming a vast network. "This is a map," Mara said, her voice filled with awe. "A map of the galaxy. But these points, they're not stars. They're something else." The hologram zoomed in on one particular point, a dark area at the edge of the known galaxy. "That's where it all started," Riya whispered. "That's where we need to go." The crew stood in stunned silence as the holographic map zoomed in on the dark point at the edge of the galaxy. "This is it," Mara said, breaking the silence. "This is where we need to go." Riya looked up from her console. "The energy readings from that location are off the scale," she said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "If we go there, we might be walking into something that's beyond our understanding." "We don't have a choice," Mara replied, her voice steady. "We've come too far to turn back now." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. "Prepare the ship for departure," Mara ordered. "We'll leave in 30 minutes." As the crew moved to make preparations, Mara stood for a moment, looking at the map. Whatever awaited them at the edge of the galaxy, she knew that this would be the most dangerous mission of their lives. But the answers they sought were out there, and she wouldn't stop until they found them. The celestial Endeavor slipped through the quiet expanse of space, its engines humming softly as the crew made their way toward the dark point on the map. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into long, elongated streaks as the ship's warp engines hummed with power. The atmosphere in the command deck was tense. "We're getting closer," Riya said, her fingers flying across her console. "The readings are becoming more unstable. How much longer?" Mara asked, her voice calm but firm. "Maybe 30 minutes, Riya replied, her face lit by the glow of her screen. The ship shuddered slightly as they passed into an area of intense gravitational distortion. "Hold steady," Mara said, gripping the armrests of her chair. "We're not turning back now." Jace Donovan stood by the communication station, eyes scanning the readouts. "All systems are stable. We'll make it." The crew remained silent, each lost in their thoughts as they moved toward the unknown. Whatever they would find at the edge of the galaxy, it would change everything.